Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's book review is 1972 by Morgan Llwelyn. It's the fourth book out of 5 books of the Irish Century novel book series. And this book follows Barry Halloran, who is the son of Ursula, and Ursula's story was the previous book. But we start from when he is 17 and he is joining the IRA in the 50s, give or take. And so we start in the 1950s, we go up to 1972. And that's how we learn what's going on in Ireland, in Northern Ireland, and in the UK. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars, which is kind of surprising. I thought I was going to like Barry a bit more than I did, but I don't know, he is kind of plain. I guess you could say plain, not really boring, just plain. And that was surprising to me because I thought he was very interesting when he was a kid, but that could be because it's through Ursula's point of view in the previous book, and of course she loves her son and she would do anything for her son. So, and also the fact that when you're a kid, it's different than being a 17-year-old and then growing up into your like mid-30s. So I found that to be a little sluggish because Barry is a bit plain, and there were just parts in the book where it was too slow for me. And I mean, this book is about 450 pages. This is like a really old copy. They haven't gotten to doing a brand new look and size and all of that like the other 2 books that I've mentioned in the past. I guess we're getting to it, I don't know, but it took quite some time to find this book, and it's used and it's yellow. But you know, it gives an air of oldness that I kind of like, because 1950s to 1972 feels really old to me. I'm just saying. That sounded mean, but no, it wasn't supposed to be mean. But it does feel like another time, like way older than it actually is, especially in parts of Ireland and in Northern Ireland where they still don't have electricity and they don't have indoor bathrooms and all of that. But the difference is Ursula is doing very well on the family farm, so she does have that, so it's a bit different compared to Barry and Ursula's neighbors. And then when Barry goes into Dublin, it's a bit different there as well because it is a city, but we're still working on getting indoor plumbing and you know, basic housing that isn't rotting around you. I know, mind blown. I don't recall when all of that is going to be fixed, but that's probably going to be in the final book. Unless you choose to, or you are, you know, still really, really poor, Ireland does have electricity and indoor plumbing at this point in time. But I think it's fascinating watching the progress, honestly, even though Barry is a bit plain and it can get a little boring through his eyes. I was still fascinated by the progress that I read in 1916 all the way up to this book, and I'm sure I'm going to be impressed by the 5th and final book, 1999, and see how that figures itself out, because I'm pretty sure by 1999 the whole Irish travel culture, I guess you could say, has really taken off, and that puts a lot of money into Ireland. Not so much Northern Ireland, but I think a bit. Especially when the Troubles end in Northern Ireland. I think a lot of people go to Belfast specifically. I just want to see how that works out in 1999. We do see it a little bit in here because they're talking about how do we make money for Ireland travel. Really hark on the fact of come back to your ancestors' homeland. Another thing that we focus on in 1972 is the lead up to the Troubles in Northern Ireland, and Barry does at first join the IRA as a fighter, but he learns he can't deal with it, so then he becomes a bomb maker. And I'm like, really, Barry? That's not that's not like good, because first he says, I don't want to kill people, so that's why he doesn't pick up a gun anymore or whatever. And then he puts his guns away in his mom's house, and then he's like, oh yeah, we're gonna do bombs, I'm gonna help with bombs, it's gonna be fine. I think that also annoyed me a bit with Barry, because really, he doesn't kill anyone, but he does blow up buildings for the IRA in Ireland and Northern Ireland. And then he realizes that yes, bombs can kill people, and so he stops doing that. And then he gets into photography. And I do like the idea of photography, and then him also going to Trinity College Dublin for a degree in photography, because it does get him around Ireland and Northern Ireland more so than I think just, oh, I want to see what's going on. But no, he's actually making money and he's taking pictures, and we're seeing history happen through a lens of a photographer. And I think that was a good switch compared to just having him be in the IRA and fighting and killing people, because that's not Barry. Like I said, he's kind of playing a little meek in some ways, also a bit shy. He's not a fighter, and so I was thrown off in the beginning, and also it was just too long in the beginning where, you know, he's joined the army and they're doing stakeouts and whatever. It doesn't work for him whatsoever. That is not Barry Llwelyn. And I know he wanted to be like his grandfather Ned, who was part of the Easter Rising and all of that, but yeah, I think it's a good move of Morgan to ultimately not copy Barry, in the sense that he's not like Ned, so he's just not going to be a fighter for the IRA. He's just going to take photographs of what's going on in Ireland and Northern Ireland. Not every man has to be a fighter. Barry is a photographer first and foremost, but he can create bombs if need be, and he can fight. Another thing that made this book 4 stars is I don't like when writers do accents, and there were a bit too much accent whatever writing going on in this book, and it wasn't always consistent, which is a problem. If you're gonna make an accent, which I don't think you should, but if you're, you know, somehow going to, then it needs to be consistent, and you can't like do one type of way in one scene and then, you know, a few chapters later they have a different accent. Like, it doesn't work. I can kind of put up with it in Outlander because it is consistent, but that's very rare. So I'm just like, just don't do the accents. I don't like it. I am really excited to read the final book in this series. It's going to follow Barry again, and we leave off right here with Barry picking up his guns in Ursula's house where he stored them and hasn't touched them for a long time because he's really angry at Bloody Sunday in 1972, and this really does kick off the Troubles. I am interested to see if he actually does start fighting because he's so angry, or maybe Ursula calms him down, or his friends, or maybe his wife Barbara calms Barry down, and then he goes back to photographing or doing something, I don't know. But I can understand the anger. I just think that he would get himself killed, which is not the point of 1999 or this book. He wants to survive and he wants to live his life. So I'm interested to see if the ending of this book is just a spark because he's really angry at all the horrible things that happened during Bloody Sunday that he photographed and he saw happening, or we're going down this road again, which I don't know if I like that, because in the beginning, like I said, a good, I don't know, 50 or 60 pages was about him fighting, and he's not good. And it doesn't fit him because he's just plain, and I don't think it works. He's more like a scholar, whereas Ned was a bit of a scholar, but more of a fighter. So I do look forward to the 5th and final book, and I enjoyed 1972. It's just that, you know, sometimes there are characters where they are written well, but even if they're written well, you don't fully connect with them. Like, I really connected with Ursula. I love Ursula. And that book that focused on her, the 1953, I believe, oh no, 1949 or whatever it was. I should remember. It was the book I read previously. Okay. The book from Ursula's point of view, loved it. Love Ursula. I think the more you get away from the original characters, the less you have a connection with. So Barry is the child of Ursula and the grandson of Ned. And there's a cutoff because, well, Barry doesn't fully remember Ned. And I understand why we're following this family, of course. And I'm glad that it is Barry in 1999 finishing off, because it would, if Morgan wrote that Barbara and Barry have a child and then we follow the child of them two, I would be like, I don't have any connection anymore. And I don't think I would enjoy it. I hope that Barry is not as plain and shy as he is in this one. Maybe that's the ending was on purpose and he got so angry and now he's gonna go fight in his 30s, whereas when he was 17 when he joined the IRA, he wasn't ready yet. I don't know. Let's see. I'm actually really interested to find out why and how is going to happen with Barry in the final book. I'm sure that there's hints, but I'm not finding the hints. So that's probably my bad. It's not Morgan's bad, it's my bad. So thank you so much for watching my review on 1972. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.